Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this very special edition of the Game Changer Podcast. I am the Paladin of Positivity, NateFNGreat, and I'm very fortunate and very blessed to be joined here by one of, honestly, the nicest people I have ever met, and I've met SoCal Val. SoCal Val, please don't hurt me. I'm just speaking truth here. That is the one, the only former WWE Women's Champion, former Divas Champion. I've gone through the long list of accomplishments as far as what she's done because she was in one of the best crossover deals with GAW TV. It is the one, the only, the sensational Melina.
I love you! I was trying to hold it all back while you said it all. I was like, oh, how sweet!
every time I have a guest on, I try to at least give like some kind of memorable introduction, or at least something that's like, okay, at least show that they're not exactly as what we know right now. I mean, I was tempted to go into the Marvelous Melina route because that was our running joke in Blizzard Brawl, but...
I'm marvelous.
Well,
I love it. Thank you. I was going to say, sometimes we forget, like, well, at least for me, because, like, I like to be a part of, like, the world, and I like being just Melina instead of, like, WWE Melina. But then sometimes I kind of forget, even after the fact, that, like, the things I've done. And then when I hear something like that, I'm like, oh, yeah, I did do those things. Like, sometimes I forget. And when I hear that, I'm like, oh, and I want to hug you.
Oh, that's right. I did slap Teddy Long on my last day on SmackDown.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, I feel so bad. I was talking to my Patreon patrons, and I was telling them the other day that there's this one time that I had to take, like, I said 82. It seemed like 82 slaps from Linda McMahon, and because it was like take after take. They're like, no, I don't think that it worked the last time. And I was like, really? And I said, you know what? That day where I took all those slaps, I was like, that was payback for all the times I've slapped somebody else. It was my turn to receive.
Honestly, that reminds me so much of production that I was in. I was in Oliver Twist, and I was supposed to play one of the Noah Claypool. I don't know if that name rings a bell in that, but he's basically this guy who works for The Undertaker, gives Oliver a hard time, and how it's supposed to go is basically I insult his mom, he takes me down with the broomstick, and he just starts wailing away on me. I'm on my belly, he's just wailing away on my back. First it was like, okay, I can handle this is fine. The director, he goes and starts saying, okay, it's really good, but I need you to hit harder. I'm like, what? It felt like almost after every single time we did that, it's like, you gotta be hard, you gotta make it more realistic, you gotta keep going. It's like, dude, you do realize I'm gonna have like chiropractic problems at this point if I keep doing this. Finally, after the final show, I was like, thank God, the last time I'm dealing with this, it's finally over.
Oh my goodness, you don't even understand, like, or people could probably, I don't know everybody else's perspective, but okay, when I was a little kid, I remember we were told, like, okay, I'm going to hold you down, and I'm just going to tap you right here. I think it was, like, on the collarbone or something, or right there in the sternum, maybe, where it was, like, one of my friends kept tapping. And, okay, you don't feel like that anything in the beginning, but once you start tapping on that bone consistently and long enough, it starts to freaking hurt. So to be able to, like, get thrown down and get tagged in, like, with force repeatedly, it adds up. It starts to hurt when it shouldn't. It's really bad.
It really does.
Poor thing.
It's one of those things where it's like, it's not going to hurt now, but once somebody hits that sensitive spot there, you're just going to be like, oh, why does this hurt? Oh, yeah, I did this thing.
Oh, do you have siblings? Were you ever, like, bullied by your siblings?
Oh, boy, yeah. There were times where me and my little brother, we used to have a trampoline in the backyard, and we would do some wrestling, and then there were some times where it got a little too physical, so some of these, like, fun play punches turned into, like, actual legit punches, and thankfully there were no broken bones or anything, but...
But still, it's a little bit of war.
As it is with siblings.
That's what I was telling my brother. I said, remember the time, like, you used to really hate me? And I was bringing all this stuff up. And he's like, used to? What are you talking about? I was like, shut up! Oh, those are the best.
So do you have, like, an older brother or younger brother?
dad, older brother. He claims he's like, I taught you everything you know. He's like, you're the reason you made it to wrestling, and that was the reason. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have learned. And I was like, well, you're kind of right. He made me a fighter. Him and my dad.
It's like, you may have taught me to be a fighter, but you didn't teach me to do the splits. It's like, or did I?
That's
he just does some splits in front of you.
Oh, he's such a sweetheart. Like, I was actually talking to him yesterday about this. He showed me a video of, like, what he made from all the clips from me in the indies, and I totally forgot about everything. And he's like, you know what? I knew you were capable of so much. He's like, but I didn't know until when we watched you do your thing and we watched you debut, and we just kept watching, and it's like, I knew you had all this potential and talent. He's like, but then when I watched you, he's like, wow. And then, like, I started crying, because it's like, you know, when you think about us, for our family, we didn't expect much from life. It's like, what we were told is the best we could do is you please get an education, because my parents were teenagers when they had us. So it's like they didn't get to finish school. So that was like a big deal, to finish school. And if we were to go to get higher learning than that, then that's even bigger. And to have a family and all this stuff, like, you know, what we see on TV, like, go to school, get a great job, find somebody who loves you, and have kids. And that was what our path was supposed to be. But so when I took, like, this route not taken, like, I didn't even expect that I would ever take this route. And to be able to do something like, we didn't even, like, my brother even said, he's like, and I thought the same thing too, to make it was a big deal, but to be able to get titles, he's like, I never thought that. He's like, that was just, that was a big deal for him, because he thought, like, it was just a big deal just to be there. But then to see a championship and then another one, he's like, I knew you had it, but I didn't know how far you could go. And then that just broke me down in tears, because that makes me happy, that I made my family proud to be able to do something like that. So it just doesn't, when I look back, I think, God, it's beautiful to remember how you didn't think that something was possible, and then to see what could be possible if you just take the steps and you believe and you keep hustling no matter what stands before you. You know what I mean? And it just made it so beautiful to hear my brother say these things. I'm like, oh, if it wasn't for him, you know, seriously, it's like, if it wasn't for him toughening me up, and if it wasn't for him believing in me when nobody else did, I couldn't imagine where I would be.
It is really awesome to have that kind of support system. And I wanted to say to everybody, including you, Melina, that I do apologize for the noise in the background. Parents are deciding to mow the lawn today of all days, but not much I can really do about that.
God, I didn't hear it.
Oh, you didn't hear it? Wow. I can hear it from here, but hey, I was actually wondering, she's very professional. She's very able to just block this out of her deal. And it's like, oh, I didn't hear it at all. It's like, wow, that's awesome. But
now I'm like trying to pay attention. I'm like, let me hear it.
Right.
How rude!
Just yell out the window. Turn that stuff off. Come on.
But even so, it doesn't. That's life. I'm waiting for the moment like my dogs hear something and they start barking. And then like I remember when last time I talked to you, I was in New York, and then you were hearing the pots and pans like for the frontline workers, and I'm like, you were being professional for listening to that stuff, and then everybody honking their horns in New York and stuff. I was like, you know, that happens. So if I hear noise in the background, I'm like, that's just life.
Awesome. You know, going back to what you were saying before about your brother, it's really cool that you do have that amazing support system, because I just can recall back to like the earliest days of your career when you debuted on the main roster. Some people might think like, well, she debuted as Eminem. Actually, she did not. She actually appeared on Raw first for that was like the lingerie fashion show when Randy Orton was the GM during that time, and then I think you were kind of like on and off there, and then that's when you had the whole deal where you were working with Nitro and Mercury, which, all honesty, is still one of the best tag teams in WWE's history, one of the most memorable ones. Sorry, Miz and Morrison, but Mercury and Nitro is where it's at, because they had Melina. What do you got? Hey.
Yeah. We were a family, man. We were a family, and that was just really great times, and we just had so much fun. And the funny thing is my brother and I were talking about that too when he was like telling me all this stuff, and he said he remembered how like I went and I did that just all by myself. Did those fashion show, the lingerie fashion show, and I think we did like a limbo contest and stuff. It was just weird things that I was like, okay, like I was in OVW, like doing this amazing gimmick, and I had fun. And then they took me out of there, and they're like, no, let's just throw her in here. And I was just like, okay, like I knew like I have to do this because this is what I'm here for. But it just like hurt my soul because I wanted to go up with Eminem so bad because that was just, I felt alive. Like it felt like this was what was right. And so I was like, okay. And he remembered having a conversation with me saying like, I don't want to do this. I want to go, I want to go up with the boys. Like I want to go up with them. And I didn't want to do this without them. And then when they brought me back down and then they brought them up with me, I was like, yes, this is what I wanted. This is the way it should be. And it just felt right. Like it felt good. And we listened to each other. Like it was just a beautiful thing because, you know, I've managed people just like, you know, not really like a lot. It's just a little bit in the indies. And it wasn't bad, but they never utilized me the way, you know, Joey Mercury did. And he taught me so much too. Like I learned so much in OVW and through Joey Mercury. And that I had a purpose, and I learned so much from that, and the art of managing. Because as much as people want to like knock it and say like it's just like if you're a woman who's a manager, you're side candy or arm candy. No, not at all. That's just people who have like a thing, you know, that's their issue of what they believe it is. But no, like for me, I never just stood there and it was just arm candy. I did something. I made sure like if somebody was knocked out or not knocked out, but they couldn't remember. And I like it happened a couple of times, not often, but the few times that it did, it was like, tell them what's going to happen next or where everybody is. You have a purpose in that ring and we're all in this together. And that art is just so beautiful to me. And I loved it. And at first I didn't understand it, because I wanted to wrestle. But once I started learning it and seeing what it really was about, then it just, I appreciated all of it. And the boys like John and Joey, they used me. We used each other to create something amazing and tell a story that none of the other people on the roster could. And I loved it. And it's a shame that it ended. Everything happens for a reason, but I always think about it. I'm like, it's a shame that it ended because I believe the evolution of Eminem could have been like that much more incredible if we were given the time and opportunity.
Yeah, no, I definitely do agree with that because I do recall, you know, you as a manager, you definitely were one that was more than, you know, some people just saying, oh, she's a pretty face. Like, she could go. She literally was one of those people that would just actually do something and then just play off like, oh, no, it's fine. Yeah, I'm not doing anything. It's fine. She played like a regular manager. It was great. Then it kind of, I think it's... Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say it was surprised a lot of people when they finally did put you in the ring. You had a big-time matchup. Your first matchup, I believe, was on SmackDown with Christy Hemme first, but that was like a tune-up to your big match with Trish Stratus. And honestly, there had to be like a lot of pressure going into that, considering this was like your second match going in wrestling, and you're at Survivor Series, one of the biggest pay-per-views, and you're battling against Trish Stratus for the Women's Championship.
No, wait. I think my first was Michelle McCool.
Oh, maybe it was. Maybe I was
Michelle McCool. Then I think maybe Tori and Christy. I'm not great at remembering stuff. But
that's right.
Definitely for sure it was Michelle.
Now I remember that. Okay.
And that was cool too because see, it's not that I like, you know, in OVW I wrestled. I did wrestling in the indies, but I was still green. I was watching my footage back and I was like, you can tell I was still green, but I was doing shit. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cuss.
It's fine. It's fine.
And then like I watched that, and so I was able, I could wrestle, but I took the character, and it's like, okay, the character isn't supposed to know how to wrestle. Like, I believe in all this stuff, like the storytelling. So it's like not knowing how to do stuff and playing that character, because this is what I knew because I watched wrestling and I knew like the psychology of it. And that's the story I wanted to tell and stand behind. And I mean, if WWE is going to give me this opportunity, I was going to take it and and do the best of my ability, knowing what I know of wrestling. And I knew that if I could take a manager and pretend she knows nothing about wrestling, that even whether they love me or hate me, they would watch me grow, because this character doesn't know anything about being in the ring, but she knows how to be a bitch. And so I knew that to take this character and to give her little steps, because what I loved seeing when I watched wrestling was the feeling of growing with somebody and feeling like I grew up with them and watched them from the ground up to become what they, like, the ultimate person, or to reach that level of finally reaching that championship. And that's what I did. But everybody really believed that I didn't know how to wrestle at all. And I love that. I love that, because I did my job. I did the story that I knew I could tell.
Yeah, you did a fantastic job at that, and it definitely did pay off. And as time went on, obviously, you know, things got better. You started winning championships, and you started being one of those big-time names that a lot of people really just absolutely loved seeing. I always loved whenever they had, like, the shock entrance, and usually you would pop up, and it's like, yes, it's Melina, she's back. Oh my gosh, this is going to be great. What's she going to do now? Oh, new finisher. Oh, okay, this is interesting. You always found a way to evolve yourself, and that was really awesome to see.
No, that was big for me. I didn't want, because sometimes I would watch matches, and I would be like, oh, well, I always pretended like I was psychic, and I was like, yeah, I could tell you what's going to happen next. And then when I started doing that, I was like, well, I don't want people to think that of me. I don't want them to be able to predict what I'm going to do next. So I always try to have something in mind of how to switch it up. Little, even if it's just little, because you have to establish moves. So that's the reason why people do what they do when it comes to how often, like how consistent they are in the predictability. It's because to establish the move so people can know what it is. And then, but I wanted to establish it, so I kept like a formula so that it could establish moves, but then I would always switch it up because I just didn't want to be repetitive. And I love that. I love it. It's such a beautiful art. Like, you have, not that you don't have any idea, but I mean, like, you don't understand how much I love wrestling. Like, it's kind of sad how sometimes, because I'm a female or something, or because I was in the diva era, that people think I never, like, because I guess the way I look or something, I don't know, that people just treat me like I'm just some chick who never really liked it. I just kind of fell into it. No, I loved it. I watched it growing up with my brother, and, you know, I love it to this day. Whether I am wrestling or if I'm just watching, like, I could still watch it and love it. And for me, this love doesn't mean that I have to be in the middle of it all the time. Like, this love that I have for wrestling, I'll watch it and I'll appreciate it and be thankful that it's still out there. That's how much I love it.
No, definitely. I definitely agree with that. And that was why I was very thankful when one of the local shows here, ACW, which I do have a question about that, because you were supposed to be on one of the shows, but I want to get to that question a little bit later. They had one of the most recent shows back, and they did try to do the whole, you know, bit of social distancing. They also had the mask. They made sure everybody was healthy, but they also were there to make sure that everybody had a good time. That's one of the things I always appreciate about the world of professional wrestling, is the fact that they are always there to at least, you know, take your mind to a different place where reality is not always logical, but at the same time, it's one of those things that can make you just kind of cheer for who you want to cheer, boo who you want to boo. It's just an absolutely amazing getaway for anybody, and I can only imagine what it's like for you to just, you know, be in front of like tens of thousands of people and be able to say, you know, I do this for a living, and I'm out here to not only entertain you, but to give you something to remember me by.
Yeah, I never knew that it could be like that. Like, I just wanted to tell a story and entertain people the way I was entertained growing up. Like, it was just like me giving back to the people who gave to me, and that maybe I could, because I didn't see many Latinas when I was growing up. So when I was growing up, the only person I really had for on TV that felt like represented me was Wonder Woman. So there was some people here and there, but you would see, like, they'll come and go. And then that's why, like, the Guerreros were really big in our family, and Rey Mysterio, because you didn't see very many Latinos out there. So for me, as a female, wanting to see another female Latina on my screen, I wanted to be that representative that wasn't a stereotype, that just was able to, like, empower people to just be, or not even, like, the character itself, but also to know that you can make it on screen too, because I didn't think that I could ever accomplish something like that, to ever be on TV. Like, I never could have imagined ever that I could be so lucky or have any talent or even the looks, because, you know, growing up, being, like, I guess being ethnic the way I grew up, at the time I grew up, it was kind of like not like people didn't like the look of ethnic people, it seemed like. So I remember when I grew up, it was just more like my dark skin, or just a different colored skin. So because I get dark and I get light, because that's just the way my skin is. So no matter what, it's just that facial features, the bone structure, being like a little bit more broader shoulder and shorter, not tall and super skinny. Like, it's just something, the way I was raised at that time in that environment, that people didn't find that aesthetically beautiful. Like, that's what should be on a magazine or on a TV. So I always thought, like, I wasn't, you know, good looking or anything. And I didn't care to, I just wanted to have a good heart. That's all that mattered. That's what we were raised to believe. And to be on TV, that meant so much, that to be able to do something I never dreamed that I could ever accomplish, and to be a role model, or to be a representative for not only my culture, but for other people who can identify with something about me, whether it's the personality type, the character type, the look, or just the essence, or how I carried myself, how I dressed, anything, to be able to touch hearts. That just meant the world to me.
Honestly, that is very beautiful. And I will tell you this, that first time glancing you on TV in 2004 or even 2005 when you had Nitro and Mercury, I was just literally like, wow, this is a very, very beautiful woman. I was literally one of those people that was kind of like looking forward to seeing you on TV, which you did a fabulous job of doing, because it was either I wanted to see what would happen to you, and thankfully during the time you got the Doomsday device as well as a 619 during, I think it was like even your first year with Mercury and Nitro, that you were just like, you were like a human pincushion during that year.
Oh my goodness, drop kick by Nitro. Then I was like, I was in the angle lock. I got frog splashed by Eddie Guerrero.
I remember that.
I was going to get FU'd by Cena, but then luckily, like, you know, I got out of that. I was very lucky. I was very lucky to live those moments, you know, because as a fan, it's like, you know, secretly nobody knows this, and I'm trying my best to start telling everybody, because, you know, you don't want to get heat, you don't want to rub anybody the wrong way, but I was marking out hard. Every single second I was there. I was like, oh my goodness, this is happening.
Your face just is like, no, and your mind's just like, yes.
Yeah, I was like, okay, Melina, you're this character. Remember, you're angry. Remember to be a bitch. And I was like, yeah.
You know, that was something we actually talked about for the show, that I think you still get people every now and then that still think of you as that character more as who you are right now. And I've said this before, I honestly thought that way when I first met you. I was thinking, well, there's Melina, let's just hope this ends out well. And it turned out that you were one of the best things to come out of that entire weekend. Having you and Thea definitely just warmed my heart, and be like, oh man, people are just super nice, they can be super cool, and just being able to just talk to you about all the things, you know. And I think during that time, that was when I started getting into Lucha Underground, and I mentioned, like, oh man, saw you with Johnny Mundo on Lucha Underground. He's like, yeah, that was a cool time. And then next thing you know, I was like, we see Taya Valkyrie. I'm like, aw, I was waiting for more Melina. Come on, man.
Oh my goodness. It was they made such a big deal about getting me and using me for that final episode or for that season. And I was like, no, I don't want to do it because I don't know. It just seemed like I was going to only come back if it was for something major.
Right.
And then they got me on there. They finally convinced me the day of because I was like, no. And then they convinced me the day of to go, and I was like, okay, because John wanted me to go, and I was like, he's my man. I want to go. I'm gonna support him. Fine, okay, I'll do it. And then when they said no to it, they're like, no, we're not going to give you a contract because this has already been done. We've already seen you and John together. And I was like, are you serious? Wow. So you mean you're not going to hire me at all? I'm like, I quit school for this. And I asked them, I was like, I'm not going to quit my schooling unless, you're going to, this is guaranteed. They're like, yeah, we're guaranteed you. We're getting the contract ready. And I was like, okay, all right, because I wanted to be a psychologist. So I would have already had my degree already if I didn't stop. And so it kills me because even though it was a blessing because the traveling and going back into indies, you have no idea, especially after COVID and quarantine, that was a blessing because I got to see, everything happens for a reason, so I'm not going to knock it. But being able to travel around the world and meet all my fans and to have these beautiful moments, I'm grateful for it. So I'm grateful that I stopped school to be able to have these experiences because I would have been stuck behind a computer this whole entire time. But it just the idea of they didn't want to use me was just well, how can you, I'm cool if you didn't want to use me with John, but not at all. Because it was all this trouble and all this trying to convince me to get back to do this, to not use me at all. And then I thought, okay, well, I always think, well, everything happens for a reason. And so I just let it go. And I just didn't want because what was it, online, they were saying this because I was difficult to work with and I'm a bitch and blah. Geez. And I was like, oh, please, don't make me relive all this crazy. I just want to be happy. And I just don't want all this crazy drama of rumors and blah, blah. And I was like, well, maybe this is what was meant to happen so then I could get away from stuff like that. Because really, all that stuff, it's not that I'm thin-skinned. It's just that as an adult, for me, I think, why do you have to go through all this stuff of people not seeing you for who you are? Mm-hmm. And you work so hard to give to people and then everybody just tears you down. And it was just that's another reason I want to do psychology too, because the concept of why people want to attack everybody, whether it's the oddest thing how some people always have to find a scapegoat for their issues, their problems, things they've gone through, or just because, they're fearful of spots being taken, or for fans, it's just it just kind of, sometimes you just want to knock somebody down and there's no rhyme or reason to it. So I wanted to understand that so then I could be able to help others understand why they do what they do, or people who are suffering through stuff like that I've gone through when it comes to being seen differently, or rumors, or anything, even bullying. I want to help people. Not wanted, I still do want to help people to get through it, because you can't help. What I try to teach people is that you can't stop. I mean, hopefully one day we can. You can't stop people from being mean and awful, but we can help how we react to it and overcoming it. And I don't want anybody to ever hurt and feel like they have no choice other than to fall apart or even, attempt suicide. I never want that to ever happen. There is a choice, and we can help ourselves to overcome and find happiness in a world where it seems like everybody's just cruel and negative and things are falling apart. There is positivity, there is beauty, and there is great people.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have a deeper appreciation for you now more than ever.
Oh, thank you.
Because
I love you.
Feelings mutual. One of the things that I tell people is that that's the reason why I've called this the Game Changer Podcast, because I do believe that there is one person that can make a difference in the world, and that anybody can have one action that can make a difference. And you've hit the nail right on the head. A lot of times, one act of random kindness can affect somebody in so many different ways. And that's just one of the things that I always try to do, is definitely try to be, definitely try to be nice, try to be kind. I know there's some people where it's like, this is going to be a little tougher than I thought it would be. But there is always that ultimate payoff of being like, you did your best. You've definitely been trying to, be the best person that you can be. And that's all that we can ask for, because if anybody's given less than 100%, then obviously they have to definitely deal out with a lot of things. Here's an interesting question. So you mentioned psychology and mentioning about going to school for that. Do you have any plans on going back to get your degree in psychology, or is that still kind of being put on hold for right now?
It's on hold for right now because I still want to get some more stuff done. Like, okay. I feel like hopefully COVID, I'm still cautious of it until like there's an understanding. Mm-hmm. Because I told my brother, I was like, you know what? I know everybody always says, oh, you're not in that category of something like bad happening to you. I was like, there's just the guy that he was an opera singer or something like that. He was like he's probably like 38, and he's supposed to be in the category that nothing would happen to him. And the poor man suffered through COVID, and he passed away like a couple months ago. And I think he lasted 45 days with it before he passed. And I was like, poor guy, like, you never know. And for me, I'd rather try my best to not have anything happen, because the goal is I want to survive. I also don't want to, like, if I get it, I don't want to pass it on to other people. And I want to be able to appreciate life and have my fans live their life too, so then I could see them one day. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still on a mission to be able to see every one of my fans, because, through my steps of depression, my dog saved me, like, certain people, strangers too, the kindness of strangers, which is so beautiful, have helped me through it, and the fans through social media, the ones that, I know saw me for me. Their kindness and their positivity and their support helped me. And if I can give back in any way, I will. And what hurts me is, like, I know there's a lot of fans, like, they don't understand. Like, I still have a little bit, like, of anxiety, as social as I am. Mm. And when I look at, like, my Twitter or even my Instagram, there's so many comments, and there's so many. I try to, like, favorite. I try to like, and I'll try to, like, comment sometimes, or even go on their Instagram profiles and then go and, like, favorite or comment on one of their, like, pick posts. Right. And, like, I love the reaction, because I love giving that love. But I'll see people who get angry at me because you're not acknowledging me, you're not, like, following me, you're not this and this. I'm trying my best, you guys. I'm trying. It can be overwhelming, because I want to, like, hug everybody, but I can't. I want to talk to everybody, but I can't, because I'm only one person. And it's hard when people get upset. But then some people just try to get upset because it's their negative form of trying to get attention. And I also don't promote that. Like, I don't give attention to people who are negative, because that's not the way to get attention. I give attention for kindness. The kindness goes a far way with me. And so I try to do that. But everybody has to know, whether you do that, whether you love me or you hate me, I still love you guys. I love every single one of you. Even if you don't appreciate me and you think I'm the worst wrestler in the world, or the worst person, or the ugliest, I will still love you. I will still love you, because I always tell people, some of the people that have hated me, I'm like, it's okay. You don't have to like me. But one day, hopefully I'll change like that perception. But if I don't, it's okay. I don't wish anybody bad. I never. I just appreciate everybody for their perspective. And I know that wasn't the point. You asked something else, and I went on a tangent. But it was just like, I guess it was about, like, not going back to school yet, because I want to meet everybody. And it breaks my heart when I can't say hi to everybody. It really does. But ultimately, through this, through your podcast right now, I want to say that I really love everybody. And I hope that, even though if they can't see it, if I can't say it to you individually, I love you guys, and I'm thankful for you guys. And I want you guys to live a life, even with this COVID, even with bullying, even with, like, the horrible things that people do on this earth sometimes that should not happen to people. there is a life that you deserve and you can have it. Please don't put yourself in darkness. Please don't, think that you're not worth living on this earth. There is a life for you, and there is beauty in here for you, and there's friends for you somewhere through social media, through somewhere, some outlet that you don't know of. You just don't see it yet, but I want you to live your best life, and you deserve it, and you can get it. I want goodness for everybody. I really do. Sometimes people think that's cheesy, like, oh, that's what like Pathwinders say. No, I genuinely see it and genuinely know it's there. Once you go through shit and darkness and see the worst of humanity, and you think like, why are we fucking on this earth if it's this awful? Why is this happening? And I felt that way, and I see it. I'm not dumb. I see the awfulness of humanity, but I also see the greatness. And once you start focusing on that and seeing that, oh my goodness, it changes your world. That's why I see the fans. Like my fans when I go to Comic-Cons, oh my goodness, they're so amazing and they're so funny and sweet and kind. And I hug each and every one of you. I do, because I appreciate you guys change my world for being as good as you are and sweet as you are and loving and positive and funny and cool. Like, you guys are amazing. And if you have that effect on me, I hope you understand that you have that effect on everybody around you, or at least the people who have the mindset or the capability of seeing that. You guys are amazing, and I hope you know that.
Honestly, I do know that because yesterday I was at my friend's wedding as one of the groomsmen, and one of the things that they did was they actually gave letters to every single person, whether it was a groomsman, a bridesmaid, basically just telling like the kind of effect that they have. And one of the first few things are just like, Nate the NateFNGreat. It's like, well, I've already affected them on that level. And then I just hear them talking about, the impact that I made on them. And it was kind of one of those things like, it's really cool to hear that from so many different, from another person's perspective, because like you said, hearing that is very gratifying, because that means you're doing what you know is right and you're affecting them in that positive light. I'm going to tell you guys this right now. I'm not followed by Melina on Twitter or Instagram. I do not hold any ill will against her, because I've met her so many times, because she's one of the nicest person, like I said, at the top of the podcast. She's one of the sweetest people that I've ever met, and the fact that I'm getting the chance to talk to her on my podcast, that's a blessing in and of itself. But also getting this deeper appreciation for her. It's like, do I really need that? No. Would it be nice? I mean, I think it'd be like a plus, but at the same time, like I said, I'm talking to you. I'm enjoying this company that we're having. I'm enjoying these conversations that we're having. We're talking about your career, talking about your life, and just talking about how you want to be that positive. Honestly, this is not a joke. In no way take it as like a joke or anything like that. I just want to get you like a sash that says Miss Kindhearted and just put it right over your shoulder. Just
oh my goodness! I'll wear it. I will sport it like nobody's business.
Because, like I said, all this conversation is getting on me is that, oh my gosh, she's just a gem in this world. She is super sweet. I can only hear you right now because we said that we were just doing the voiceover. But if you're crying, I apologize. I don't mean to make you swell up with tears, but I just definitely want you to know that you are appreciated and you are loved by so many different people. There's a lot of people out there that are going to say these things, but because they like the negative responses, that's the only reason why they do it. For me, if I ever post something about you, it's just like, hey, as long as she saw it, that's all I need. That's really all I need. And I actually do remember, I think I made the joke first time we met that every day or like every week or something like that, I was going to continue sending you like a gif of doing the gentleman's bow, stuff like that. Because that was like our inside joke for a long time.
I love it. I love seeing the pictures when you're doing it too. I'm like, there he is. He's doing it again.
And you're just doing a top of the morning to you there, governor.
Oh my goodness. One day you're going to be like, oh, no, I don't want to do it. I'll love you either way. You have to do it. I love it's your thing. And I've never, I don't see anybody else ever doing that. It just struck me. I was like, look at this guy. He's so gentlemanly. People don't do gentlemanly things anymore.
Well, I try to bring at least some chivalry back. I know that I've made the joke that chivalry is going to die with me, and there's other people who are like, No, it's going to die with it. It's like, no. Do you see anybody else doing this kind of stuff? Doing like the hand kiss or the Triple H bow and stuff like that? Like, no. Yeah. Point proven.
I love it. I love stuff like that. That just like, you know, it was done so much in the past, but for some reason it just faded away. But people continue to do it, and I love stuff like that. Even words, like even like odd little words, it just like pops me huge. We're like, oh yes, I love these unique things. That it seems like it's different and unique now because nobody else does it anymore. And I love stuff like that. I love it.
So
you're awesome.
You are amazing too.
You're effing great. Nate.
I see what you did there. So I did want to ask this because I did bring it up earlier. One thing I was super excited about, and unfortunately it didn't really end up happening because the con got canceled in the first place, was the fact that during the anniversary show they were announcing, well, who's going to be all coming to Water City Wrestling Con, and one of the first names that pops up was yours. I'm like, oh my god, yes, I get to see her. Oh my god, I'm so happy. I'm looking forward to this. And then finding out, yeah, that's during an NWA pay-per-view. It's like, crap. No, NWA, I love your rich history and your rich past, but you're ruining this moment for me. I was hoping to see her in less than a year. Come on, man.
Oh, yeah. That was like, that was terrible. I was like, I can make it. They're like, no, because I was booked and I had a contract with NWA.
Right.
It's like they negotiated, they tried to make it work. And because in my mind, I was like, it's possible. Like, I could, like, do my match and then go straight to the airport. They're like, no, well, what if this? What if that? And they were running all the what ifs. And I was like, okay. Because I said, we need you there. Like, there's no way that you can't be there. You have to make it to Atlanta. I was like, oh, fine. I guess I have to do my job where I'm under contract.
One of the things I'm definitely seeing is that in your career, there's been a lot of moments where you're just like, okay, we're just...
Oh my goodness!
It's just like I want to do these things. I want to make an impact. Blah blah. Then they're just like, no, you got to do it our way. Okay.
I know. Well, can't you try to let me try to do it all? Come on.
I love how probably like in those what if scenarios, none of them were ever just like, well, what if I leave here and I make it here back in time? Just saying. And
there could have been a way. Like, there could have been a way. I mean, where there's a will, there's a way.
Oh, yeah.
There has to be. But I guess they don't want, I don't know. It's just like trying to make it easy and, looking for backup flights just in case the one flight's missed. And they try to, like, do all that. They probably ran it all through. But in my mind, I'm like, no, you didn't try hard
enough. there's a secret dark side of Melina just in there. It's like, you will let me do this.
If I was Jack Bauer, CT, you would have found a way. Rental cars, anything.
Oh my gosh! I want there to be a movie starring you now where it's just like you're the nicest, most delicate person, and like it's like the she Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, just literally.
Oh no, that's real life, actually. Oh my goodness, this is what I always tell everybody. I'm like, you know what? I'm nice, and if I see anybody be mean to a dog or an animal or something, then it's like no. Or my friends. Oh, heaven forbid. Like I was telling my Patreon members too. I was like, okay, like I'm always nice. I always see the best. I always believe that communication can fix anything. And granted, I'm not the best communicator. I sometimes I'm not as articulate as I can be, or aware of my words sometimes. But I try to talk before I get upset, because that's just what I believe. But when there's a moment where, granted, there was drinking involved, but it's like I'm hanging out with my friend, and a guy comes up and he calls, he's hitting on my friend, and she declines, and then calls her a bitch and then slaps her ass, and then red. I'm like, no. How dare you? Not so nice, Melina. I guess, and granted, I guess that's me when I was younger. coming out, but there's a better way to handling that. But at the same time, it's like something like that. I don't like people doing stuff or saying stuff to my friends or my family. It just kills me. But there are better ways to handle it. So I can't go from that one extreme to another in like an extreme scenario, like a selected scenario like that. But every other time, I'm like, oh yeah, whatever person cut me off. Oh yeah, somebody called me a whore. I don't care. Really, I'm her first. And the thing is that's what people say when they don't have anything else to say. I'm like, you know what? That's what everybody calls a female. Bitch, I hear it. Yeah, whatever.
It's just so casual how you just said it. It's like, oh, you're a whore. It's like what?
Yeah, because it's like that's what like people say that's so not so often to me, but it's like to females, to women. It's like everybody just says it and they sling it around like nothing, you know, like it's a hello. Right.
Well, what's up, whore? It's like no.
Yeah, whore. I'm like, all right. I mean. Okay.
Well, so speaking of drinking, you were actually featured on an episode of God TV with SoCal Val, Lisa, and Mickey James, and definitely saw that you were having just a wonderful, grand old time with your sisterhood.
Oh my goodness, I was hurting the next day. I was like, oh my goodness, because we do a tequila shot before, and then I stayed on
really?
with Val. I was like, yeah, it's like we're together for reals in real life. And then I had one, like I started drinking, I stayed drinking after because Val and I stayed after. Like the girls try to stay for as long as they can afterwards. But then I hung out with Val through FaceTime and we just continued and kept like the night going. As if we're like having a girls' night together in real life. And oh my goodness, I was like, I shouldn't have done that. I had things to do the next day.
But in the moment, you were really thinking about it. You were just thinking, like, I'm just hanging out with my girlfriend, Val. It's fine. It's totally fine.
But that's what I love, like, even just FaceTiming with them. It doesn't have to be God, but it's just, like, talking to them, FaceTiming with them. It just feels like we're having a slumber party or we're hanging out together somewhere. And I love that. It's so necessary to have that feeling, especially, like, through COVID and all this stuff that's going on. I love that feeling. But that's the beauty of technology today. Like, can you imagine if COVID happened without, like, FaceTime and, like, social media and stuff like that? Oh, my goodness, that would be the end of the world feeling where all you do is watch TV. Can we go out yet? Is it possible? I want to talk to so-and-so. Are they, like, calling them doesn't seem right, you know? It's just a regular phone call. That'd just be weird.
It would be one of those situations where literally Val would probably be like, send letters to this address. It's like, great, now we got to pay international fees for letters.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Damn, that would be weird because she is like overseas. I forget, like through FaceTime, I kind of forget that I'm like, okay, we're not in the same continent.
Well, it's crazy because I always talk to her agent, and every now and then she'll mention like, oh, she'll be in Florida during this time and this time she'll be in this area, she'll be in this area, she'll be in the she'll be back home during this time. It's like, oh, in Florida, nope, UK. So I got to go back to see what kind of time is it here, because like in Florida, and for like our time zones, you're about 2 hours behind where I'm at, because it's about 2:51 right now.
So you're in the future.
Yeah, right. It looks bleak. I'm not gonna lie. So, but yeah, like
funny.
but Pacific time, that she's about. If she's in Florida, she's like an hour behind me. But then going to like over the pond, it's like 6 hours behind.
Yeah, that's why it surprised me how she does GAW. You know, because she's like it's so much later for her. Oh my God, you're a trooper. She is
such a trooper. I love / hate my frenemy and Val, but at the same time.
Why is she your frenemy?
So, long story short, when we first.
Melina's coming out now.
So all throughout our deal, we basically have established a deal where basically, California is great, but there's other times where I'm like, no, I think I might be the one that's ahead right now. But so we've had like competitions and prediction battles where. A lot has been done. Like, she's admitted on Twitter that I was just as glorious as Bobby Roode. I've had to wear pigtails in my hair for losing a bet. I've had to wear John Cena shirts. Just there's an unspoken spoken hatred between me and Val. No, I'm kidding. She is absolutely amazing.
That's all out of love. That's all out of love. I think the more she tortures you, the more she loves you.
Like, I can't imagine what it's like for her husband. Oh my gosh. Guy's got to be getting his...
He loves every moment of it. He's like, that's my girl. Or my lady.
my lovely lady.
That's my lady. Oh my goodness, I love it.
So you did mention, and I have seen your beautiful, adorable dogs. Do you have a preferred breed as far as dogs go, or are you just a lover of all dogs?
Oh, I'm a lover of all dogs. But, like, I did have, like, a big, huge love for Pomeranians, though.
Oh.
Because when I would go to actually it started out with poodles. Okay, so my family, we've had tons of different breeds of dogs. And they're usually, like, the big dogs, because my dad always loved the big dogs. And we always had that growing up. And one of my dogs that I had was my dog, or I claimed her. And she grew up with me since I was 5 years old. So she was a poodle mix. So I always identified with poodle mixes because of her. And so when I got Charlie Bear, I saw his face, and I was like, he reminds me of Sable. So I got him. And even though I realized, like, oh my goodness, he was a poodle Pomeranian mix, and he was always smiling. And then we'd go to the dog parks, and then, like, I saw, like, every dog is cute. I love all dogs. And I would take them all home with me if I could. But, like, I'd see the little Pomeranians, and I wasn't used to, like, little dogs other than, like, maybe miniature pinchers, because they look like big pinchers. We have, I'd see the little Pomeranians come up, and they look so happy all the time. I was like, how can you look at this dog and not just, like, turn that frown upside down? Like, it's all smiling. She's happy all the time. I'm going to get this breed, because especially, like, through depression, it's like, I need to look at that and then realize, like, I can't not smile when I look at these little babies. So I started getting, like, the Pomeranians, and, well, not until after Bandit. And I was like, I'm going to get another Pomeranian, like, or any Pomeranian mix. So then I got Blue. So after Bandit, it was Blue, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm done. And then I went with Thea to get her first dog, and one of these little puppies, every time I'd get away from the cage, he'd cry and cry and cry. And I was like, no, man, I already got 3 dogs. No. No, I can't do it. I can't do this. And then I'd go near the cage, and he'd stop. And I was like, oh, my God. Go away from the cage. I was like, oh, my God. Oh, no, Thea, I got to take him. I can't leave this place without him. So then I took my fourth dog, and that was Ash, and he was a Pomeranian too. And I tell you, those little faces. But really, in all honesty, I love every dog. I love pits. I love boxers. I love mastiffs. I love, St. Bernards. Like, all of them. They're so cute. Those griffins, like, oh my goodness. What are they called? That's what they're called, right? I follow an account called Grumpy Griffins. And oh my God, they're so cute.
Oh my God. I want to say this as like a joke. I would love to see them cast you as like the next Cruella DeVille, and just day one they tell you, like, okay, here's what's gonna happen. You're just like, yep, nope, not gonna happen. I'm a dog lover, and I can't do this. I
would take the role, be like, yeah, oh my goodness, I'm gonna live this dream, and then do the scene, and as soon as they say cut, I'm like, oh my God, tomorrow you're gonna be hugging for the puppies.
I am so sorry. Please don't be scared of me.
I didn't mean it.
You just come home and you just come home and your dogs are just like, did you just cheat on us with 101 Dalmatians? It's like, no.
They would. They look at you like you should be ashamed. They smell my pants. They smell my hands or something. They have that scent, and they're like, yeah, you should be ashamed, Mom. We were here waiting for you, and you're petting other dogs.
Showing the love that we earned. We earned your love, Mother.
Oh, baby, I love you. You know Mama loves you.
Apparently they heard us.
Blue looked at me like, yeah, that damn straight. You know it.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, man. So, well, unfortunately, Melina, we're going to have to cut it because now we're reaching the end of our time. But I know. This is always like the hard part of the show because it's always one of those things where it's like, man, we had so much fun talking about this, talking about all this kind of stuff, and then it's just like, well, timer's going down. That's just the way it is. But always very thankful to have you on the show. This was just a blessing, as I said before. Thank you so much for your time. Definitely show a little extra love from me to your dogs because they definitely are just, they definitely do earn that love. But before we go, I always like to do a bit of a cheap plug for some of the guests. So by all means, Melina, if you have any form of social media, how can they talk to you? How can they say nice things about you? Hopefully respectful things, but I can't promise that part.
Well, I always say the easiest way is to go to realmelina.com, and you can find like different links to everything there. But I'm also Real Melina on Instagram, Real Melina on Twitter, Real Melina on YouTube, Patreon as well, Real Melina on Patreon. What else do I have?
You got dogs, you got your water, you got your Patreon, you got your Instagram, you got all these things.
Yeah. So everything, you'll find it. Oh, yeah, Rave. I'm doing Rave, too. Cameos and just everything Real Melina. I think, Rave is for Real Melina, too. I'm not sure about Cameo, though. But you can always find that link on realmelina.com. And I'll try my best to message everyone. That's why I'm always tweeting. Like, I send the mass tweet to say, like, I love you guys. I'm always sending love because it's not just a phrase. You know what I mean? It's not just like, oh, yeah, to be cute because I'm a girl or whatever, or because I just want everybody to like me. Hell no. It's legit. I mean it from within my heart that if I were to die tomorrow, I want you guys to know that I love you all, and it's all those messages are true from the bottom of my heart and sent to each and every one of you. No, I mean it. She's
not. I can only tell this by vocals, but I think she's giving me that glare, saying, "Yes, I mean it. Don't doubt me. Do not doubt me at all. I don't want to see you."
Don't turn me into angry Melina.
don't bring out the angry Melina. I have learned so much more about her. It's like there's more to like about her, but also a slight more to fear about her than I ever thought. I mean, I was already worried about getting screamed in the ear because that was one of those things where it was like, no, not the scream, not the scream. That's like the scream of death.
That's right. Everyone always tells me, they're like, come on, do the scream right here, right now. Like at conventions, I'm like, no. It'll clear this. You will regret it, and then it'll clear this whole building out. No. I don't want that heat.
I would not blame you. It's one of those things I would just feel like, yeah, no. But there would at least be like 4 people that are just like, oh, that's Melina.
Girl, she still got it.
Or just fans are just chanting, you still got it, as they're trying to get processed out.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So guys, definitely, if you want to interact with me as well as all my other friends at Wrestle Addict Radio, definitely check them out on the Twitter page at Addict_Wrestle, myself at RealFNGame. Definitely get a chance to check out our t-shirts. Definitely check us out on all of our Patreon networks. It's just absolutely amazing. So it's I will tell you this. There may come a time where I might just have Melina on more frequently because this was one of those podcasts where I just, like I said, I've definitely had a more deeper respect for you as a human being, but also it's one of those things where, like, I love her mindset. It's one of those things that cannot be duplicated. It can't be replicated. I like this. I want more of this in my life. I might just have to message her every now and then and just be like, hey, Melina, I need something positive in my life. Can you just say something enlightening or something deep that might put a smile on my face? And she'll just go a paragraph and be like, Thank you.
I got you. Yeah! That's what I want to do. Yes, I'm down for it. And this makes me happy because instead of it ending right now, that means it's not ending because we'll have other times where we're going to chat.
Oh, I've already talked to Val about getting God TV on just to as like every single person. Like we meet up at like Survivor Series or something like that. Honestly, if we make it like a round circle deal where it's me, Val, Mickey, Lisa, and you, that would just make this even better. And it would also make it like 4 times more awkward for me because it's just like these girls are talking about whatever. I'm just enjoying the stories and whatnot. And then Lisa will just be like, "Oh, Nate, I'm sorry." Just like, no, I don't care. Keep talking. Talk about whatever you want. It's just
you're like, I just lost control.
It's one of those things where it's like
so funny. It's just even in golf, like we tell each other, like everybody kind of talks over each other sometimes. And I'm like, wait, I'm not finished with my story yet.
Give me like 2 more minutes and then I'll be done.
Yeah, and poor Lisa's like, why do we do that? I said, you know what? I think it's kind of like, maybe we get so excited that we finally get to talk that we know that we're going to forget if we don't say it now, too.
Right.
That we have to say it right here, right now, before we forget. And that's why it's important for each of us to say it when we think of it. I said, I think that's what it is. And we're just super excited.
Makes the most sense.
I'm sorry we take it away from you sometimes.
No.
But jump on in. Be like us. Just jump on in.
Next time we have that mosh pit, I will definitely try. And then I'll just get like four different glares from 4 different women and be like, I'm going to just shut up now. Just continue.
No, you won't get the glares. You'll be like, yeah, we taught you. We taught you to be aggressive here.
So for Melina, I've been NateFNGreat. This has been the Game Changer Game Changer podcast. Wow. Reminding you, be safe, be kind to each other, be respectful, and remember, you can make a difference. Thank you guys so much. Have a good one.